And they're away. And there's the correction you were talking about, Harriet. They've done a couple of strokes out from the bank and then straightened up. And it looks like Regent's Park have pulled away from Magdalen, or probably more likely Magdalen have dropped back a bit to St Hugh's, who are gaining rapidly. Oh,
So
and there's Pembroke trying to catch Wolfson, and Wolfson helping them.
So Wolfson have moved out to try and avoid Pembroke, but what that has meant is that Pembroke have took the inside line and are going to very...
I think they've bumped. They're rowing out, aren't they?
They are. So we've got Teddy Hall now in a bit of a gap, and we've got Lineker gaining quite hard on Hertford, but also being pushed very hard by the Corpus Kittens, who we mentioned earlier, and then Queens at the back of the division, very much going for that bump, which they've just
got. Yes,
absolutely.
So that's 2 bumps before Donington Bridge in this division.
So it sounds like there are lots of things going on under the bridge. Hertford have just conceded to Lineker, and it looks like Wolfson may have bumped out, or possibly are taking a slightly interesting line into the gut.
I think that's a steering choice.
I think that's a steering choice, but I do hope that Teddy Hall are not going to go in too tight for that bump and go for blade-on-blade contact.
I think they have.
As a bump. Yeah, but that does mean that Hertford have now got an advantage.
Because they stopped rowing, and so Hertford are going to be able to catch them up. There's a big prang there. That's the same one.
And that also, so Hertford now have been able to gain a little bit of distance because Wolfson got caught, and it looks
and rowing with 7 blades.
Rowing with 7 blades, not quite sure why. We shall see as they come out of the gut. So Magdalen now chasing quite hard on Regents coming out of the gut. Both crews are looking like they've
still got a length and a half.
Still got a length and a half, but Magdalen just looked that little bit longer at the 2 ends of the stroke, just that little bit more composed. I think Regents are starting to want to try and push away, crumble slightly.
Yes. And that's St Hugh's chasing after Magdalen in the red boat. And actually, for Division 6, this is some very good rowing we're seeing at the top of this division.
Absolutely. There's very good chance that many of these people learnt to row this year, with only a few weeks worth of training. So they're looking really together, which is always a sign of a good crew, that the blades are going in and out of the water together.
And you can absolutely see the difference there. The Regents crew on the right have gone. They're slightly less cohesive than the Magdalen crew that was on the left, gaining on them.
Yep, so they're constantly telling them lots of things to help them row in time together. And I imagine the Hertford Cocks, which is the crew on the right-hand side, is also going to be saying lots of encouraging things to try and reduce that gap on the Wolfson crew. They've got it down to about half a length, which probably they got some of that distance because of the incidents in the gut, and it looks like they may have just fallen out of time a little bit in the Hertford crew, which hopefully they can get that back and keep pushing on to Wolfson.
And then we're back at the front of the race here. Is that Regent's Park? No, they haven't got the crosses.
So that is Regents with the red.
This is Regent, okay. There's Regents going past. They're still holding a length and a half.
Yeah, it seems like they found a little bit of a second wind, actually, and are really starting to push away from Magdalen, who may have gone actually slightly harder in the first part of the race, hoping to get that bump sooner, which is where the tactics come in, really. Do you go off hard and try and bump off the start, or do you row a longer game plan and just eat away at the crews in front of you?
Fly and die, I've heard about this one. Yes.
So,
but Magdalen look a very, very strong crew. They are definitely very cohesive. They have a good chance tomorrow if Regent's Park are going to have this. Actually, they might even get them. Regent's Park look like they've just had a little wobble.
I think this will come down to, is there enough river? I think Regents might find that they've just got enough left to hold on Magdalen for long enough so that they can cross the finish line. on a longer stretch of water, we would perhaps have a different story. Although the Regent's Cox has steered, and in quite an interesting way, which certainly will
Doesn't favour them.
Doesn't favour them, although Maudlin have gone to chase, which will also again be slowing down that boat because you're on the run.
Yeah.
After the times, the best thing is just to steer straight and wait for that crew in front of you to get drawn in towards you and not chase at all. And Hugh's following quite strongly behind.
So no changes in the first 3 crews. Yes, and Regent's Park looked pleased with that. So those 3 crews have rowed over and held station, and behind them it is a bumping. I was going to say nightmare. It's not. It's been a feast of bumping. So the first bump we saw was Pembroke against Wolston, and then we saw Queens against the Corpus Kittens, and then the third one I think was Lineker catching Hertford, and then I think the Corpus Kittens bumped Lineker.
Now that will be an interesting one.
And then Hertford bumped Wolfson. So there've been a lot of bumps going on in this one.
Yeah, so the Kittens might find that they've fallen foul of the fact that if Lineker had bumped before they'd got to them, they would no longer have been a racing crew, which actually meant that they wouldn't have bumped anybody. So we will have to see what pans out in the results there.
I think it was Lineker. Lineker had bumped Hertford before the Kittens caught Lineker.
Yeah, so if you are the crew that goes on to bump someone, once you've achieved your bump, you are no longer a racing crew, so you can no longer be bumped. So if the Kittens, if the Corpus crew hadn't realised that, they may have stopped sort of prematurely, and any crew that then rode past them would have in fact bumped them. Although I think given where they were in the division, they might have got away with that.
Okay. We'll start to see the results coming through on this fairly shortly. But my prediction for the top of this division is that Regent's Park will finish at the head of the division. Maudlin will finish second, and St Hugh's will finish third. That was the easy bit.
Yes, and all crews did very well, especially Regents, to re-establish that good rowing rhythm. Yeah. But unfortunately,
and I think it's Wolfson who are going to be the sufferers, because Pembroke bumped them, and Teddy Hall also got them. Yes, that was bump 5. It was Teddy Hall against Wolfson. So I think we're going to have the top 3 unchanged, then Pembroke, Teddy Hall, then Wolfson, and Lineker, who came up from the division below yesterday, have made another progress because they bumped Hertford. That's right. That was the second bump that we saw. And then Queens will stay up in the division, but I think they may have got the Kittens. No, they didn't. No, I haven't got a bump on the Kittens.
So if they rode past the Kittens, because that bump that the Corpus Kittens won't have got, because Lineker were no longer a racing crew, then Queens might find that actually if they've rode completely past that crew, then they will have bumped.